ABC 10 News at 11 starts now.
The House of Representatives is now set to vote on an historical second impeachment of President Trump here in just a matter of hours. Good evening. I'm Steve Atkinson.
And I'm Kimberly Hunt. It's the next move for Congress after tonight's vote to invoke the 25th Amendment was rejected by Vice President Mike Pence. As ABC's Elizabeth Schulze reports, a number of top Republicans now say they're on board with impeachment.
In a largely symbolic vote, House lawmakers passing a resolution urging Vice President Mike Pence to invoke the 25th Amendment and strip the president of his powers. But before the vote, Pence rejected the idea in a letter to House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, despite pleas from Democrats to hold Trump accountable for the attack on the Capitol.
I urge Vice President Pence to do the right thing.
All eyes now turn to Congress, where some top Republicans are coming out in support of impeaching Trump for the second time. A source confirming to ABC News, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell has told associates he believes the president committed impeachable offenses. And Congresswoman Liz Cheney, the third highest ranking Republican in the House, who has previously been critical of Trump, revealing she will vote to impeach. Cheney not mincing words in a statement, writing Trump summoned this mob, assembled the mob, and lit the flame of this attack, adding there has never been a greater betrayal by a president of the United States of his office and his oath to the Constitution. Cheney is now among at least two other House GOP members and more than 200 Democrats seeking to impeach Trump for willfully inciting violence against the government of the United States.
We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and if you don't fight like hell, you're not going to have a country anymore.
The president is standing by those comments he made January 6th. In his first public appearance since the attack, Trump showing no remorse and taking no responsibility.
People thought that what I said was totally appropriate.
This as the FBI warns of threats in all 50 state capitals ahead of the inauguration January 20th. And as Justice Department officials say they're investigating significant felony cases tied to sedition and conspiracy in the attack on the Capitol last week.
I think people are going to be shocked with some of the egregious conduct that happened within the Capitol.
And sources tell ABC News Republican leaders in the House are not telling their members to vote for or against impeachment. Instead, they're saying to vote their conscience. Elizabeth Schulze, ABC News, Washington.
And you can watch the impeachment vote live starting tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. on 10news.com or all of our streaming devices.
In the wake of last week's violent attack on the Capitol, Governor Gavin Newsom was asked about security here in California. He says the National Guard could be used.
That everybody is on, I think, a high alert in terms of just making sure that everybody is safe and protected. People's free speech can be advanced, but there's no violence.
Here in San Diego, there were clashes between pro and anti-Trump protesters in Pacific Beach. Mayor Todd Gloria says that kind of behavior is not welcome in San Diego. We reached out to the San Diego Police and Sheriff's Departments. Both say they don't know of any planned disruptive events at the moment.
Today, some California Democrats unleashed a war of words against those behind the effort to recall Governor Gavin Newsom. The head of the state party claims the effort is being led by right-wing conspiracy theorists, among other things. Our ABC 10 News reporter Adam Rakusin spoke to those behind the recall effort who say, how dare they?
Those behind a petition to recall California Governor Gavin Newsom say they've collected more than 1 million signatures, claiming Californians are fed up with the direction of the state.
Welcome, everyone. And I want to
On Tuesday, the head of the California Democratic Party and several big city Democratic leaders responded to the recall effort, at points drawing a line from the riot at the nation's capital last week back to the recall effort, even using the word coup.
The same individuals and groups who were encouraged by California Republican leaders and attacked the People's House are also engaged in a recall effort against Governor Gavin Newsom right here in California.
San Diego Mayor Todd Gloria and County Supervisor Nathan Fletcher both on the virtual press conference.
Same Trump-inspired conspiracy theorists are now seeking to undermine our democracy in California. They are involved in recall elections against our Governor Gavin Newsom.
Those behind the current recall effort say, how dare they use that language?
Shame on them for using that tactic, and if this is the level they're going to resort to, then we're going to be more and more successful because the average Californian isn't going to put up with their garbage.
Randy Economy says the recall effort is about things like housing, homelessness, and the economy.
Californians are in dire consequences right now, in dire straits.
And let's be clear here, a recall is part of politics. Article 2 of the California Constitution, approved by California voters in 1911, allows people to recall and remove elected officials and justices of the state Supreme Court from office. Back in 2003, voters recalled then-Governor Gray Davis and elected Arnold Schwarzenegger. Adam Rakusin, ABC 10 News.
Happening tomorrow, new San Diego Mayor Todd Gloria will deliver his first State of the City address. Because of the pandemic, this speech will be done virtually with the public able to watch online. Gloria is expected to lay out his priorities for the first year in office, including how to manage the city's budget. His speech is scheduled to start at 6 p.m.
Morale is extremely low. I feel there's a lot of frustration.
The U.S.-Mexico border will be closed for at least another month to all non-essential travel. That move was made at the request of the Mexican government. But as our ABC 10 News reporter Laura Acevedo shows us, struggling businesses owners along the border, they feel these restrictions aren't slowing the spread of the virus.
It's been almost an entire year since the U.S.-Mexico border was closed to all non-essential travel because of the coronavirus pandemic.
It is catastrophic to our businesses.
The U.S.-Mexico border first closed on March 21st of last year. Officials have extended the closure every month since. In San Ysidro, 125 out of roughly 800 businesses have closed for good. Jason Wells is the San Ysidro Chamber of Commerce Executive Director.
Well, I want to make sure that people understand we are not disbelievers of COVID.
Wells says the decision to close the borders was a political move by the Trump administration.
It's not based on health. There's 110,000 people still crossing between California and Baja California every day.
U.S. citizens and permanent residents don't fall under the restriction, free to travel to and from Mexico. But anyone seeking a tourist or border crossing visa to enter the U.S. is not allowed. In San Ysidro, 95% of business comes from south of the border.
It's very, very bad. Like the whole year was bad, 2020. Yeah.
Sunil Jakreja owns Sunny Perfumes and Maya's Gourmet Pizza, estimating his revenue is down more than 50%, running his business with just one employee and help from his family.
Now in January, it's basically a ghost town over here.
News of the travel restriction extension comes on the same day that Tijuana was supposed to receive its first doses of the coronavirus vaccines. Our reporting partner Televisa confirming the arrival was delayed until Wednesday when the first healthcare workers will be vaccinated. The city with its own vaccine rollout after all healthcare workers vaccinating people from oldest to youngest. For businesses, hope that restrictions will be lifted soon.
These next couple of months are going to be critical. But again, the only thing we have left is hope.
Laura Acevedo, ABC 10 News.
The county is stepping up enforcement on businesses not complying with COVID restrictions. Today, the Board of Supervisors voted to increase funding to cover inspections and violation orders. Those that don't comply with public health orders will not be eligible for county relief money. The plan also calls for distributing funds to areas where data shows people have been hit the hardest, mostly minority communities.
People in our county are hurting, especially in low income and communities of color, and we need to ensure that as the county receives future funding for COVID-19 mitigation.
Supervisor Jim Desmond was the only member of the board to vote against the new policy.
And here are the latest numbers. The county announced another 3,500 cases today. That brings our total to 198,000. Wow, 41 more San Diegans. They have also lost their lives to COVID, bringing that total to just under 1,900.
California's Health and Human Services Secretary says there are early signs that our COVID-19 surge may finally be flattening out.
Yesterday, we actually reported 11 fewer individuals in our ICUs across the state for COVID than we did the previous day. Again, 11, not a big change, but important that it doesn't keep going up, which is one of the early signs that we want to see as we hope and trend towards improvement.
And this afternoon, the governor announced the Sacramento region is having its stay-at-home order lifted. The area has a projected 4-week ICU bed capacity above 15%. You can stay on top of any new developments with coronavirus by downloading the 10 News app. A free version is available in the App Store.